I just started, bro.
Okay.
So I'll start sharing the screen.
వస్తాను.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so somebody, I think somebody's okay. Well, Sri Bhagavad Prabhu was joined. So basically, we just try to quickly recap what we discussed in the last session. I will not go through everything, but I'll just want to quickly. So basically, we started by saying, uh, is it important to understand about universal form, right? That was the first topic we discussed. So we understood that although it is a material manifestation of the Lord, but everything is coming from the Supreme Lord. So everything is actually one way spiritual. So actually, this material universe's cosmic manifestation is also part of the Lord, right? So that way, this topic is also a spiritual topic. That is one thing we saw, and then yeah. Actually, this is part of Srimad Bhagavatam, fifth canto, whatever we discussed, right? So it is actually coming in the disciplic succession, and that way it is connected to Supreme Lord. Okay, so that is one point we discussed. Then we discussed about how actually it is difficult to understand the universal manifestation. So Sukadeva Goswami itself says that even if we spend that, no, even if the spend time which is equivalent to one day of Lord Brahma, still it may not be possible to understand everything in detail, right? So unless and until one is like even perfect people are finding it difficult to explain, so what to speak of imperfect people, right? So it is not an easy topic to understand, because the reason we discussed is that human beings are generally accustomed to only understanding three dimensions, but actually the universe is multiverse, multidimensional. So there are many things actually which is beyond beyond the limit of our comprehension. So this was the background we discussed, and nevertheless, actually, we with the mercy of previous acharyas and previous devotees who try to understand about Vedic cosmology, following in their footsteps, we try to understand whatever is possible. Okay, so that was the background we discussed. Okay, then yeah, we just briefly discussed that uh, how actually the Bhumandala, which we are going to discuss right in detail, how it is depicted actually. So if we understood that no a particular aspect, particular of subject can be looked from different perspectives, the same thing can be viewed in different angles. For example, no about astrology, the planetary system will be represented in a particular way in astrology, which is actually relevant to astrology. So, and if you're looking from a geographical perspective, like then it's a different. So another example is, in the maps actually we have different maps, right? We have geographical map, political map, like that. So the same object or same concept actually is understood from different ways. So similarly, in the Bhumandala representation, the Earth is actually represented as a plane, right? Actually, how you see in this particular picture, right? On the left side, you can see the globe. So if you cut the globe into half, and then when you press from the top, it becomes a flat surface. So something like that actually is the representation in the Bhumandala, actually, which we are going to discuss. Then actually we briefly went through the planetary system. This is the Goloka chart. So we discussed about the upper and 14 planetary system, the lower, middle, and upper planetary system briefly. Okay. So you're able to see the screen, devotees?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can see.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so we actually went through this planetary system a little bit, right? That was the last discussion we had. So we saw how from Karanodakashayi Vishnu, from his body all the universes comes out, and we went in a little bit deep into a particular universe. right? So a particular universe, actually, we saw that there is middle planetary system, which is the Earth. Then there are upper planetary system, which is actually, Bhuvarloka, Swargaloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka. The topmost planet, where actually Lord Brahma is there. And below the Bhumandala, actually there are lower planetary system, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Padala. And below Padala, we have the Pitraloka and the hellish planets. Okay, so this actually we saw in little bit in detail in the last session, right? So now in today's session, we'll be going to discuss about this middle planetary system, which is known as Bhuloka, right, or Bhumandala. Okay, so uh, yes, so we'll also talk about other things a little bit, but actually first initial part of the discussion will focus on the Bhumandala, that actually the disk. So what actually we have seen earlier also is that in the universe, if you look at the universe, half of the universe is filled with water actually, Garbhodaka ocean. Okay, till the bottom half of the universe, below Bhumandala, is actually filled with water. Actually, and then Garbhodaka Vishnu, who is an expansion of Karanodaka Vishnu, is lying in this Garbha ocean, and from his navel, actually, the lotus flower is coming, and along the stem of the navel, all the planetary systems are located. Okay, so the bottom half is actually filled with the ocean, the Garbhodaka ocean. So in this particular picture, we don't get exact picture actually. So even all the lower planetary system like Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Taladala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala,
Music mom reply for that menu.
all the even the lower. Hare Krishna, can you please mute? So even the lower planetary system, still Padala and also Pitraloka and hellish planets, all of them actually are above the Garbhodaka ocean. So below all this planet is the Garbhodaka ocean, and everything is above the Garbhodaka ocean. So that actually we'll see in little more detail later. So that is so. So we'll start discussing about the Bhumandala. So you can consider it like a kind of a disk, right, which is in the middle of the universe. Okay, now we'll go to the next section. Okay, so actually in this particular picture, there is you can see some concentric circles, right? So this is the top view of the Bhumandala. Okay, so this Bhumandala actually consists of 7 islands. Okay, which we will discuss in more detail after some time. So actually in Bhagavatam it is mentioned that King Priyavrata, he actually he was a very great. Hare Krishna. So King Priyavrata, no, he was a great ruler, very powerful, and he actually he basically it is told that before this particular incident, no, one half of the Bhumandala actually was always dark, and only one half of the Bhumandala was illuminated. So to change this, King Priyavrata followed the sun god in a chariot. No, we'll see about sun god and his chariot actually after some time. So the sun. So when Priyavrata followed the sun god in the orbit of sun, by the wheels of the chariot of Priyavrata, King Priyavrata, all these islands were formed actually. So there are 7 islands and 7 oceans. Okay, so this it is told that when Priyavrata went along behind the sun's orbit, these islands and oceans were formed. Okay, so that is how actually the islands came into existence. Okay, so we will go in very detail now. So before that, okay, just to give just to understand who is King Priyavrata, I'll just wanted to just quickly go through that. So you can see the hierarchy. So Lord Brahma, is the first created living entity in every universe, right? And Brahma's actually son is Swayambhuva Manu, and Swayambhuva Manu's son is Priyavrata. Okay, so that is the background of King Priyavrata. So now let us see one chart actually. So how the dweebs look, little more detail, we'll see. Okay, so this picture is visible to you, right? So here actually you can see that it's basically there are many. So basically this is the middle part of the. Suppose if you slice one piece from the middle of the universe, right? It will be like a disk, right? And this is the view of the disk from the top. Okay, so here actually we can see that we'll go to a little big. So okay, so in the middle, the middlemost part actually is known as the Jambu Dweep. Okay, this is the first deep, and our Earth planet, which is known as Bharatvarsh, is actually located in the Jambudvip. That we will see in more detail. Then just to give an overview, first I will give an overview and then we'll go to each of them in detail. So Jambudvip is the middle, which is surrounded by an ocean of salt water. Okay, and the next one, the green circle, is the next deep called Lakshadweep. Okay, which is surrounded by sugarcane juice. So it is told that every island is surrounded by an ocean which is of the same size. So that means the salt ocean of around the Jambudvip is the same size as the Jambudvip. And the next island will be double the size of the previous island. So the Lakshadweep is double the size of Jambudvip. Okay, so this Lakshadweep is surrounded by sugarcane juice. Then, which is actually for next one, the red color is Salmali Dweep. Okay, which is surrounded by an ocean of liquor. Then next comes Kushadweep, which actually is covered by clarified butter. Then there is Kraunchadweep, which is surrounded by milk. Then we have Sakadweep, which is surrounded by emulsified yogurt. Okay, after this ocean of emulsified yogurt is actually the Pushkaradweep. Okay, so in Pushkaradweep there is actually a mountain. The gray color which you are seeing actually is a mountain, which is known as Manasottara mountain. Okay, so the sun's orbit is across this Manasottara mountain. Actually, sun orbits on this particular path. Okay, so this is the high level overview of the different dweeps. Okay, so we will go into detail into each of them. So here actually it is mentioned this diameter of the universe is actually totally it is 2 billion, sorry, radius. So total diameter of the universe is 4 billion miles. Okay, so that is the diameter of the entire universe, and radius is 2 billion. So in this disk, one thing is interesting is that the disk can be divided into two halves. So till actually so after actually we spoke till Pushkaradweep, right? So after Pushkaradweep there is sweet drinking water, and then there is a golden land, and then there is a mountain called Lokaloka mountain. Okay, so beyond Lokaloka mountain is actually an uninhabited path of the universe. So this Lokaloka mountain is exactly the middle. No, so till you can see that radius till from the center to this Lokaloka mountain is 1 billion, and after Lokaloka mountain till the end of the universe actually is another 1 billion miles. The place which is after Lokaloka mountain is called Aloka Varsha. So Loka means people and Aloka means there is no people. So it's Aloka Varsha, there are no living entities actually occupied. It's it's empty land actually, 1 billion miles, and the rest of the 1 billion mile is all these different islands actually where there are actually living entities who are there. Okay, and this golden land which is mentioned actually is very interesting part. No, it is mentioned that if you drop any object in this golden land, it automatically, it immediately vanishes and nobody can trace it back. So because of which actually here also nobody lives, no living entities lives. So it is like something like you can think like a Bermuda Triangle. We heard about Bermuda Triangle, right? So generally it is told that any objects actually, any ship or anything passes that, and it is actually vanished. Or you can see like a black hole kind of thing. Everything, nothing is actually, nothing stays there in this golden land. So this is the broad classification of the different islands actually. Okay, very high level view. In this, any questions are there?
So in Bhagavad Gita, we heard that the living entity is Sarvagata. Then how come we don't have there are living entities?
See, that is a general statement, Prabhu. See, basically in every planetary systems, if you look, actually there are living entities. But there is similar lands also in the top of the universe. This is we are looking at a horizontal view, right? So when you after the Satyaloka, after Brahma's planet, also there is a place where actually it is told that it is not. It's an empty area kind of area is there. So in generally, Sarvagada means living entities can live in all kind of conditions in all places. So this place explicitly is mentioned that there are no living entities beyond this Lokaloka mountain. So it is told that this Lokaloka mountain, actually the height of the Lokaloka mountain, it extends till the pole star. Okay, so which means that the sun is inside this Lokaloka mountain. So basically it is told that the entire universe is illuminated by sun according to the Vedic understanding, and no light actually pass beyond that actually. So this Aloka Varsha is completely dark. There is no light actually in this area. So that is understanding, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yes. Yes, Prabhu. Vijay
Prabhuji,
Prabhu.
currently we living in Jambudvipa, right? So what
Yes.
about other Dvipas, Prabhuji? What kind of living entities are living there in
Yeah.
other
We'll
Dvipas?
we'll talk about it, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu.
Prabhu, one question. So you said 7 islands and oceans are of the same size. How is it in the? Is it in the concentric circle? Each circle represents an
Yes.
island and an ocean.
Yes, Prabhuji.
How is? Was my question clear?
Yeah. So everything is concentric now. As you can see the picture. You can. So Hare Krishna, somebody is talking actually. Can you please mute? Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji, who was asking the question?
Yes, Sri Bhagavad Das.
Oh, Bhagavad Prabhu. Okay. Prabhuji, so Prabhuji, as you can see now, everything is concentric circle. So first, actually, in the middle, there is one circle, that is Jambudvip. Okay, surrounding that entire Jambudvip, another circle, that is the first ocean, which actually we saw, na, which is salt ocean.
Okay.
The salt ocean is
Okay.
completely circled by the next deep. So every island and every this thing ocean are actually concentric, and every island is double the size of the previous island. Okay, and every sea ocean is the same size as the previous island, like that it is the radius, if you look the width. Is it clear, Prabhu?
Um,
Krishna?
Yeah.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna,
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Ramendra Prabhu.
Yeah, the stars are also part of this universe only, na?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, but in this particular picture, what we are talking in Jambudvip is just one slice of the middle of the universe. So the stars and everything is above on top of it. Now we sliced one disc, like if you have an apple, if you cut,
Yeah.
if you horizontally cut the middle of the apple, like two slices, we'll get a disc kind of thing, right? So that is what we are looking now. Okay, so stars. So now we are looking the disc from the top. So above all this disc is actually all the stars and other planetary system. It will come on the top of this. So we will talk about that later. Now we are talking about a horizontal slice actually, which is the called Bhumandala. This particular plane is known as Blue Mandala, which we are going to talk. So we'll also talk about the vertical this thing universe. So at that time we'll talk about planets and stars. Any questions? Are there any more questions?
Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Sharma Prabhu.
Yeah. Prabhu, so this is the same thing for all universes. This is model of one universe and this will be replicated for all universes, right?
See, in general, what we have information in Srimad Bhagavatam and whatever I have went through, right? It only talks about our universe. Okay. But if you look at the Goloka chart, actually it shows that basically it is told that every universe, Kshirodaka Vishnu, sorry, Karanodaka Vishnu, he expands as Garbhodaka Vishnu and enters into every universe. And from his navel, Lord Brahma is coming. So this part is same in every universe. But the details, how exactly, maybe the size of the universes, no, and then dimensions and exactly the constitution of the universe. This I don't know actually, and I'm not sure whether the information is available also.
Prabhu, this universal structure, what we are reading, it is the structure for four-headed Brahma. For
Yes.
other number of headed Brahma, the details are not given. So that will be completely different. So for example, in other Brahma lokas, Brahma's universes, if the Brahma has 10 head, then all the universes will be situated in 10 dimensions.
Yes.
So now what we are discussing here is 4 dimensions. Even we don't know how to see the fourth dimension. So here what we are discussing is only within subjected to the four-headed Brahma's boundary.
Yes, Prabhu. Sugi Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, so we'll move on.
Prabhu, one question, small. Yeah. Prabhu, is it parallel to all the circles? Actually, ours is the center one, that Earth. So after this, all the circles are parallel to our Bhumandal, right?
Yeah, they are concentric circles, Prabhu. So basically, the center, the midpoint, if you take and you draw different circles with that same center, with different diameters, then all these other islands are created. You can consider like that. And what you see in the middle is not exactly Earth. Actually, it is just the Jambudvip. The Earth is very small part of the Jambudvip, which we are going to see next.
Okay. Because Prabhu, that actually, as per our current scientists, they are saying no, it's round. So, but if you are going to US from here, from India to here, we can go via this European countries, and again we can go to the Japan also. So that how can we understand this?
That actually will come to Prabhu. See, the Earth, Bharatvarsha, which actually, it's very small part of the Jambudvip, is considered as a globe. We will come to that later. So it is a globe only.
Okay,
So now we are just taken one slice of the universe, right? Which is horizontal plane, which is Bhumandala, and in that one small portion, actually, Bharatvarsha is there, which is actually depicted as a globe. So we'll come to that after some time.
Okay,
We are not reached that. This is just a high level view.
yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so this is clear now. Then we can move on to the next one once
Yeah,
it is
yes,
clear.
Prabhu.
One last question.
Yeah, who is this, Prabhu?
Sanjay Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, this thing in this slice, sun is only one.
No, yeah, sun is only one.
Sun is only, and the other side, golden land, what we see is the sun because of sunlight only.
Where actually, Prabhu? Golden land.
Golden land.
Yeah, see, till golden line. See, what is sun? The sun's orbit is shown, right, in the orange color. This is sun actually. So this is just the orbit of sun. Okay. So the sun illuminates the entire universe in all the directions till the Lokaloka mountain. So Lokaloka mountain you are seeing in the gray line actually, right here. Are you able to see my mouse pointer?
Yeah.
So this is the boundary. So this Lokaloka mountain extends till the pole star, which is very just before the Brahmalok. So till that the height is the Lokaloka mountain. So it actually it blocks all the sunlight beyond that Lokaloka mountain. So we'll talk about sun's orbit and all in detail after some time. So now this is just to get a very high level overview of the Bhumandala. Now we go into deep actually. Each of the inside actually we'll go to each deep. We'll talk more about Jambudvip and then we'll get an overview of different other deeps also. And then we'll talk about the sun's orbit, the planetary systems, how day and night is caused, how eclipses are caused, how seasons are caused. So all these things we'll look actually after some time.
Okay. So what sunlight we see, Prabhu, it crosses, filters through milk, sugar cane, liquor, all those things. Then
sun is above, Prabhu. No, sun is so this actually, as I told you, the sun actually is in the Pushkara Deep, right? This is the Pushkara Deep. So we are looking from the top. Okay. Now in the Pushkara Deep there is a big mountain actually called Manasottara mountain. Okay, and above the Manasottara mountain, so basically from this Bhumandala, about 1 lakh yojanas above is the sun's orbit. So now we are looking from top actually. So we see everything in one plane, but actually sun is much above the disk. It's in a different orbit. So on top actually it is revolving on the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got it, no?
All other are on the same plane, no, Prabhu? All other are same.
Yeah, other things are all. Yeah, sun is, but actually see, it's just a top. So in every of these island there are huge mountains. Actually right now we cannot see that. No, when we go to each island we'll see that. So that is all projecting towards us when you're looking from top.
Okay.
So right now we are looking from the top. Okay, now let us move on.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay, hopefully this is clear, I guess, right? So now we'll go on. Okay, I think these things we'll touch up again as we progress. We'll again talk about these things. Okay, so we'll get again a chance to clarify. Okay, so this is what we saw here, right? This is the same disk which we are seeing now. Then let us move on. So okay, so this is we saw, right? So little bit actually how it is distributed. So how the lands are ruled actually, we can get an idea. So we saw Brahma, son Swayambhu Manu, and Swayambhu Manu, son Maharaj Priyavrata. Priyavrata had actually 10 sons. Somebody's unmuted actually. Okay, so Priyavrata in Barhismadi, he had 10 sons actually. Okay, so they are actually, these names are given here, Agni-Dhara, Idam, etc. In this particular box you can see these are the 10 sons. So in that,
Prabhu, whenever this Pranasakhi Mataji is there, no, that is joining, it is joining without mute.
Yeah, I told her many times actually, but again and again it is happening. Not to unmute. Okay. She's unmuting again, so then echo is coming. She's aware of that. So in the 10 sons, actually 3 sons they renounce the life and become brahmachari. The 3 sons are Kavi, Mahavira, and Savana. Okay, so remaining 7 sons were given the reign for the 7 islands we saw. We saw the 7 islands, right? So the 7 sons of Priyavrata is ruling each of the 7 islands. With Agni-Dhara, starting from Agni-Dhara. Agni-Dhara is ruling the Jambudvipa, and then remaining other 7 sons are ruling the 7 islands. Then each of their sons are further actually ruling so in each of the dweep there are further divisions, varshas are there. So each of their respective suns are taking a rule of the different varshas in each of the dweeps. So this is just a high level picture actually to understand. Okay, so we cannot remember all the names, etc. Okay, so here it is written, right? The 7 suns rule the 7 islands of Bhumandala. Then further, if you look, actually, for example, Agnidhara is one of the sun, right? So Agnidhara is ruling the Jambudvipa. Okay, so his 9 sons. If you come down, so after Agnidhara, there are few generations, like King Nabi is there, right? And after the Rishabdev, so Rishabdev's 100 sons. Out of the 100 sons, one of the son was Bharat Maharaj, who is very much famous actually. And for his, in whose name is Bharatvarsha is known as. So his Rishabdev's one son is Bharat Maharaj. He has 100 sons. 9 of his other sons were very prominent actually. So they were ruling the 9 islands within the Jambudvip. So the Jambudvip is further divided into 9 islands, right? 1 second. Sorry. So the Jambudvip's 7 island is ruled by the 7 sons of Priyavrata Maharaj. So that I already discussed, right? So within the Bharatvarsha, okay, within Bharatvarsha there are further 9 islands. So that 9 islands is ruled by the brothers of Bharat Maharaj. Okay, so this is just an information. Let us move on. This we already discussed actually, this dimensions, right? I already got. So what each deep, the next deep is 2 times, right? And compared to the first one, it is 4 times. So every deep is double the size of the previous deep, and every ocean is the same size as a deep. So that is what actually we saw. Okay, now let us see Bhumandala in little more detail. So it is told that this Bhumandala, is actually considered, it's like a shape of a lotus. Okay, and in the Bhumandala has 7 islands that we already saw, right? The 7 islands. So they are all circular, concentric circle. And in the lotus, actually, you might have seen there is a bowl in the lotus. Okay, so let me see, that picture is there. So you on the right side you see the lotus, right? So in the middle you can see the bowl, yellow color thing, right? So this Jambudvip, in the middle of Jambudvip there is this Meru mountain. You can, on the left side you are able to see that mountain, right? It's made of gold actually. This is exactly like a bowl of the lotus, the same way. Okay, which we'll discuss in little more detail, just to get an idea how the lotus actually. So the concentric circles are like the petals of the lotus, and then the islands are there, and in the middle there is the bowl actually is the Meru mountain. Okay, now we will go into each of the part actually and see. Okay, so Bhumandala lotus, this already we saw, and the length and breadth of Jambudvipa, which is situated in the middle of the bowl, are 1 lakh yojana. So this middle Jambudvip which we saw, the middle circle, right, the middle part of the entire thing, is actually the width is 1 lakh yojana. One yojana is approximately 8 miles. Okay, so you can think it's about 8 lakh miles, or it's about 12 lakh kilometers. So that is the diameter of the Jambudvip. Okay, so this Jambudvip is further divided into 9 divisions known as varshas. Okay, that we will see in detail actually in the picture. And each of these varsha, there are 8 mountains that mark the boundaries of the divisions. Okay. So the Sumeru mountain is talking about Sumeru mountain, which I already discussed, right? In the middle, in the center is Sumeru mountain, which is made of gold. Sumeru mountain is like a pericap of the lotus, like a Bhumandala planet of the Bhumandala planetary system. Sumeru mountain, its height is same as the width of Jambudvipa. So this, we saw the diameter of the Jambudvipa is 1 lakh yojana. The height of the Mount Sumeru is actually also 1 lakh yojanas. Okay, of that 60,000 yojanas are within the earth. Okay, and 84,000 yojanas are above the earth. Like that actually it is distributed. The total 1 lakh is distributed like that. Yeah, so and one interesting thing about the mountain is that the mountain actually is like a cone. The top diameter is double the bottom diameter. No, it's going like a cone. The bottom, it is 16,000 yojanas is the diameter, and the top, when you reach the top, is 32,000 yojanas. So that it's like a little like a cone actually. Okay, now we can see the picture actually. Here we can understand the actual orientation of the dweeps. I think I have to a little bit reduce it. Okay. Okay, now, so this is now we are talking about the Jambudvip. You remember, right, in the picture? Here in this picture, the blue dot in the middle, okay, that is what we are talking now. That's what actually we are seeing here. So in this, the middle portion, the center portion, actually you can see this square, that is known as the Ilavrita Varsha. Okay, then we have other Varshas. So between every Varshas, there is a mountain. So on the right of the Ilavrita Varsha, so this is actually orientation wise, you can see the top part, I know you can consider it as north. Okay, and the right is the east, bottom is south, and the left is the west. Okay, these are the direction. So so the middle actually we have Ilavada version, and then center we have the Mount Meru. On the right side we have Bharadravasa Varsha, Bhadrasa Varsha. Okay, so one more thing actually. So this Ilavada Varsha, the dimension is given as length is actually 34,000 yojanas. Okay, and width is 34,000 yojanas. So it's a square. Okay, so 34,000 yojana means you can multiply by 8, that many miles. Okay, that is the width of the Ilavada Varsha's dimension. Then on the right side we have the Gandha Madana mountain, and beyond that on the right side we have the Bhadrasava Varsha. Okay, 4 dimensions are given there actually. So I am not going into detail of the dimension, but no, there's no point. We cannot remember everything. But to get an approximate idea, you can know that. So it is 34 by 31 thousand yojanas. On the left side of Ilavada Varsha, there is Malevan mountain, and to the left of that is Kedumala Varsha. This is all same size as Bharada Varsha, Bhadrasava Varsha. Okay, 34 by 31 kilo yojanas. Now on the top, you can see this Nila mountain, right? So this length is 93,300 yojanas, and the width is 2,000 yojanas, and height is 10,000 yojanas. Okay, so that is the Nila mountain. So what is explained in Bhagavatam is that, so each Varsha, the residents of each Varsha do not have any access to the other Varshas, because actually it is covered by so huge mountains. And also there is the concept of different dimensions again coming into picture. So unless and until somebody is having what you call just like in a computer, right? You may have different folders, but unless and until you have permission, you will not see the folder. I can hide the folders, and then I can say that okay, this person can see only these folders, this person can see only this folder. So even if there are some physical geographical areas, unless and until these residents have access, they cannot see that area. There is no access to that. Okay, so on top of Nila Varsha is Ramyaga Varsha. Dimension is given 88.3 into 9,000 yojanas. 88,000 yojanas by 9,000 yojana. On top of that, you have the mountain Sweta. Dimension is given there, and then Hiranmaya Varsha. Then on top of that, Shringavan, and finally we have Kuru Varsha on the top in this map. Okay, and then coming down, we have Nishada is a mountain below the Ilavada Varsha. The dimension is same as the Nila on the other side. Then actually we have Hari Varsha. Dimension is given 83,000 by 9,000 yojanas. Then Hemakuta mountain. Okay, then followed by Kimpurusha Varsha. Then Himalaya mountain, and followed by Bharata Varsha. So this Bharata Varsha, which is mentioned here, actually is where we are living. Okay, so this is a small part in the Jambudvipa, right? Which actually, because it is in the end of the circle, it is a smaller compared to other parts. It's a smaller area, right? Which actually its dimension is given as 41,000 by 9,000 yojanas. Okay, so in Bharata Varsha, actually this can be in this map it is shown like a disc kind of thing, but actually this actually is a sphere. Okay, that actually we will see after some time. Okay, so in this I think any questions are there?
Prabhu, Harishna Prabhu, is Meru mountain the same as Sumeru mountain? Because you
yes.
Looks like, at least I heard, okay, same.
Yeah.
Because I've heard it interchangeably. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
It's the same.
Yes,
and that's the
Prabhu.
middle one.
Yes, this the middle one actually. The circle is in the middle. M is written, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then this whole disc is actually the projection below is a cone. This is just a cross section of a cone.
Of the mountain, right?
Yeah, this
Yes.
yellow thing is actually on a cone, because Jambudvipa, as you said, is
No,
Prabhu.
M is a cone, I think.
Yeah, only the Meru mountain is a cone, Prabhu. Jambudvipa is a circle. It's a disc. So the cone structure, the cone structure I told is for the Mount Meru. The Mount Meru, on the top, on the top it is 32,000 yojanas, and at the bottom it is 16,000 yojanas. So like that it is a cone. But the
inverted cone.
Yeah, inverted cone. Yeah, we saw that picture, right? It's like this only. This lotus is there. No, lotus is like that actually. No, the Mount Meru is. You can see the Mount Meru here, right? So Jambudvipa and the Mount Meru, and the ocean is shown in the left side. Okay.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, so I think here it is more technical actually, just to know that okay, these are the divisions and how it is distributed. I think it's not possible to remember all the dimensions, etc. But we have to just know that this is actually in Jambudvipa itself. there are so many other Varshas, and we are in the Bharat Varsha, and we don't have access beyond Bharat Varsha. Actually, other dimensions, I mean, other areas we don't have any access. Okay, but actually, Bhagavatam refers to many of the other places. In various contexts. Actually, it talks about Gandhamadana mountain, Malayavan and Sumeru, etc. Bhagavatam talks about. For example, some of the heavenly planets like Vidyadharas, Kinnaras, etc. They come to some of these Varshas for enjoyment. So that is mentioned in Bhagavatam. We can see that actually a little bit later. Okay, so this is just the yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, this Bharatavarsha, it is surrounded by Himalaya mountains, right? Which is the current India is located in Bharatavarsha. Am I correct, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu.
So coming to Ilavat Varsha, Prabhuji, so where exactly this place, this Sumeru mountain, Prabhuji, in current geography?
It is not part of
from Mount Everest, that Himalaya, whatever you see and whatever you are mentioned, Himalaya are same, huh?
No, bro.
I thought it was.
It is kind of same actually one way, because they say that the Himalaya, as per this, it is 60,000 yojanas, means 60,000 weight. So like it's like 4 lakh, around 5 lakh kilometers actually. I mean miles height. Our Mount Everest is only 8,000 kilometers, right? 8,000 kilometers is height of Mount Everest, I think approximately. So what they're saying is that again the question of the dimension is coming.
Meters, bro. Just 8,000 meters, 8 kilometers.
Sorry, 8 kilometers. Yeah. So what they're saying, it's again the question of the dimension. Okay, and the other Varshas actually, it doesn't come in our map actually. What we show, see, our map only show the Bharat Varsha part actually. Whatever map we have, United States of America, all these countries are there, Europe, Asia, Africa, all these things. It's only this Bharat Varsha. Okay, so Bharat Varsha doesn't necessarily mean only India. Okay, Bharat Varsha means the entire Earth planet.
Okay.
Yeah. But sometimes actually, there is a little bit, some places, like in Prabhu's translation, we can see that sometimes Prabhu refer to India. But actually, after going through various videos, what are other devotees who have done research, they are saying that, it actually is the entire Earth. So sometimes it is used interchangeably. Sometimes Prabhupada also say that Bharatvarsha was extended throughout the entire Earth, right? He used to say that, like the descendants actually of Yudhishthira Maharaj or other kings, actually, they ruled the entire planet. So in principle, for our understanding, we have to think that Bharatvarsha means the entire Earth planet. So that our understanding of the geographical Earth, and whatever we have learned, we have to temporarily forget actually. If you try to map whatever our understanding is actually, then we will not be able to understand these things. So that we have to just think that, we have to have faith in the Vedas and think that, okay, these things are beyond our sensory perception, but it is there. Because it is mentioned, we have to accept that it is there. And it is not accessible by our normal senses, because we discussed in the beginning, right? The dimension, the multi-dimensional universe, right? So there are different dimensions which we cannot access. One example I'll give you is that we say that when you go to Vrindavan, we say that Vrindavan actually is non-different from the spiritual world Vrindavan, right? Many devotees say that there is no difference. So many people go to Vrindavan. It depends on the mood of the devotee. So most of devotees who are in the like neophytes or what is it actually? Madhyamadhikari or so unless until somebody is a pure devotee of the Lord, they will not have access to the real Vrindavan. So it is told that the pure devotees, when they go to Vrindavan, they actually can see things which we cannot see, right? So we see only the external Vrindavan, which actually consists of the buildings, like animals, small houses, whatever it is, all those things we see, right? But actually pure devotees can see Lord playing pastimes if they go to Vrindavan. Right, they can see that actually. So there are different realms which can coexist in the same place, and you don't have access. So similarly, so if that is possible, then I know this can be easily understood, right? This actually, there is some geographical separation also by huge mountain, and then there are different realms actually which is not accessible to us. Like that, we have to think about it. Okay, Prabhuji, Mataji, shall I go ahead?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, please, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Prabhu, just one clarification. Sorry to stop you. So that that mountains, can we understand like they're like almost a blocking? It's like there is no way that, I mean, not even subtly also, even grossly they can't be crossed. It's just they have blocked the entire Bharatvarsha from the other Varshas.
Yes.
Or is it just symbolic?
No, it is actually real mountain. They are given the details of the mountain. We'll see soon. So in this picture, left side picture, you can see there are many mountains, right? So one of the white one at the bottom is actually the Himalaya, and then there are many. So whatever we saw in the picture, say all no, there are actual mountains there. We saw, right, some time back. So these all these are real mountains actually. So Bharatvarsha is covered, separated by Himalaya. Then there's Hemakuda, Nishada, so many other mountains actually, which are taller than Himalaya. So Himalaya is only 60,000 yojanas. If you look at Nishada, it is 93,300 yojanas. Right. So all these things are like mind blowing. We cannot even imagine actually how it is. Okay. So yeah. So we let us go on. Description of Ilavada So now we are talking about the middle part. Okay, the middle part actually, that is Ilavada Something is there. Okay, so this is a big picture of the Ilavada in the middle part. Again, same thing we are seeing in a different way. So the Meru is there. Then there are so many mountains. 1, 2, 3, right? 4, 16. So many mountains are there. So not only the big mountain we saw, Gandhamadana mountain and other mountains, right? We have Malayavan. So inside also there are different mountains, smaller mountains. Okay, that is how actually it looks. Now going back, now we'll see the descriptions of Ilavada. Okay. So we saw that already. Sumeru mountain is there. Sumeru mountain we already saw the dimensions, right? We already discussed about it. Then other 4 mountains immediately are Mandara, Meru Mandara, Subarshava and Kumuda. Okay, that we saw in the picture now. Okay, now the interesting part comes actually. So basically, on every mountain, there is a huge tree. Okay, so it is mentioned here, standing like flagstaff on the summits of these 4 mountains are a mango tree, rose apple tree, kadamba tree, and a banyan tree. Okay, so the dimension is given actually. It is 100 by 1100 yojanas. So and the tree's height is around, you can see around 9,000 miles. So so how much it is like? So around 10,000 to 11,000 kilometers. That is the height of the tree. And the mountains we already saw, right? Is very huge. 93,000 means like it's very, very huge actually, right? More than 1 lakh. That is height of the mountain. And on top of the mountain, there are on each mountain there is one tree, like mango tree, rose apple tree, kadamba tree, and banyan tree. Okay, so these are all actually, this actually really tests your faith. What we are going to discuss. Now, what is mentioned on these 4 mountains are 4 huge lakes filled with milk, honey, sugarcane juice, and pure water, respectively. Now, the celestial beings such as Siddhas, Charanas, and Gandharvas who use those waters naturally possess perfection of mystic yoga. Okay, so these places are inhabitants by advanced living entities, not like human beings. So there are also four celestial gardens named Nandana, Chaitraratha, Vibarjaka, and Sarvatobhadra. So these are all we are talking about only Jambudvipa. We are not talking about Swargaloka. Okay, Swargaloka also has Nandana Mount garden, but we are just talking about the Bhumandala now. In that Jambudvipa, that part we are talking. Now to go in more detail, this mango tree is known as Devachuda. Okay, on the lower slopes of Mandara mountain, mangoes as big as mountain peaks and as sweet as nectar fall from the top. They break and flow as a river called Arunoda. So there is a river of mango juice. Okay, then from drinking the water of the river Arunoda, the bodies of maidservants of Shiva. So one thing actually, so this particular Lilavadavarsha is inhabited by Lord Shiva. Okay, and it is told that Shiva is the only male in this particular deep. No males are allowed, and because of a curse of Parvati, any males trying to enter this deep, they become female automatically. Okay, so from drinking the water of river Arunoda, the bodies of maidservants of Shiva's wife, who are wives of Yaksha, become fragrant, and the wind of fragrance from touching their bodies perfume the entire atmosphere for 10 yojanas around. Okay, the next tree is Jambu tree on the summit of Meru Mandana mountain. Here also the fruits of the Jambu fruit is the size of an elephant, full of pulp and small seeds, fall from the tree from a great height and become a river named Jambu Nadi. Flow for 10,000 yojanas. Dried by the air and the sunshine, it produces huge quantities of gold called Jambu Nada, which the Devadas use for ornaments. Okay. Then next is Mahakadamba on Suprasva mountain. From the hollows of the tree flows 5 rivers of honey, each about 5 yamas wide. Following in the western direction gives pleasure to itself and the whole of Ilavadavarsha. The air carrying the scent from the mouths of those who drink that honey perfume the land for 100 yojanas. The banyan tree, Satavalsa, on the Kumuda mountain, from the 100 main branches come many roots, from which many rivers are flowing and provide all necessity of people. These rivers flowing down from the top of the mountain to the northern side of Vilavruta give happiness to Vilavruta. So the residents of the material world who enjoy the products of these flowing rivers have no suffering such as wrinkles, gray hair, fatigue, foul smelling, perspiration, old age, disease, untimely death, cold, heat, loss of luster or trouble. They live their whole life with unlimited happiness. So these places are kind of, we discussed, right? There is something called Bhauma Swarga. So some of these varshas are like Bhauma Swarga. It is heaven on earth actually. I mean, it's not actually earth, Bhumandala. And it is told that the demigods who actually return, basically after finishing their karma, after the living entities, the human beings who does very high pious activities, they actually are elevated to higher planetary system as demigod. And after spending their lives for thousands of or millions of earthly years, then after when their pious credit is over, Kshine Punye Martilogam Vishandi, they again fall back. So before coming to the Bharat Varsha, they actually spend time in these kind of areas, which is known as Bhauma Swarga. And after that they come to earth, right? So only in earth actually there is karma. Karma Bhumi is only earth, which is the Bharat Varsha in the bottom of the Jambudip. So these are under descriptions which are given actually. So this is just the some right side you can see a small picture of the bottom of the Meru mountain with all different mountains. Now the same picture in little more, same thing what we just discussed, right? We can again have another view. Sumeru is in the middle. Then all the different mountains and the trees you can see on the different sides, height of the, what are the different fruits, the height, and then all the other information is given here. Okay, now we'll not go into that much. Okay. Then there are further mountains actually. Okay. There's Kesharachala mountain. This actually there is nothing much important here. Then another important thing is that Sumeru. On top of Sumeru, what is happening? That is very interesting. So the top of Sumeru is like almost like a heavenly planet. Okay, so there actually you can see on the right side, the middle actually there is a city of Brahma. So this is just like a resort. We know that Tipu Sultan, he had actually a summer palace and winter palace, right? Like that, Brahma whenever he comes, actually this is just a resort for him. So he actually used this place actually. This place is known as, what is the name? Manavati. Right, let us read actually. So residence of Brahma on top Sumeru. In the middle of Summit Meru is a township of Lord Brahma. Each of the four sets is calculated to extend for many thousands of yojana. So 10,000 by 10,000. It is made entirely of gold, and therefore learned scholars and sage call it Satakumbi or Manavati. So this city is known as Manavati. And then on the 8th direction, there are the cities of the other demigods. Like we can see Kuvera, Shiva, Indra, Agni, Yama, Nirti, Varuna, and Vayu. Okay, so here actually you can get a better picture of the Sumeru mountain, right, from the side, lateral view. So, sorry. So Sumeru, actually you can see, right, bottom is 60,000 yojana and top is 30,000 yojana. And one part, like 84,000 yojanas, is above the Bhumandala, and the rest of the part is like inside the Bhumandala. Okay, so that is how this Sumeru mountain is. Okay, so we have seen that Brahma's township known as Manavati, and those of the assistants are Indra, Agni, Yama, Nriti, Varuna, Vayu, Kubera, Shiva are known as Amaravati, Tejavadi, Samyami, Krishna Ganga, Krishnangana, Shraddhavadi, Gandhavadi, Mahodaya, and Yeshovadi. Brahmapuri is situated in the middle, and other 8 puris are located. So this Amaravati we know, right? From this is the actually place of Lord Indra's capital, Amaravati. So this actually is one way we can understand that this Indra's abode actually, and the demigod's abode actually is this top of the Mount Meru. Okay. Now next topic is about the descent of Ganga. Maybe after this, I think we will not have time to continue. Maybe as per the scheduled time, it will go over. So I'll just quickly talk about the descent of river Ganges. So we know the pastime of Vaman Dev, right? With Bali Maharaj, when Bali Maharaj actually gave the promise that Vaman Dev to give us 3 feet of land, and Vaman Dev with 2 feet he measured the entire material cosmic manifestation, and for third actually did not have any place. So when the Vaman Dev lifted to measure the higher planetary system, his foot actually went to the topmost portion of the universe. This one, right? So if you can see here, this is the covering of Brahmanda on the top, right? So he's and beyond the universe actually is the Karana ocean, where actually the Karana Deva Vishnu is lying, right? When he lifted his hand, it crossed through all this. It went up above all the logas, Surgaloga, Marloga, Janaloga, Tapaloga, Satyaloga, and after that actually the 7 coverings of the universe, and finally it penetrated the covering of the universe. And then because of the hole which is created, the spiritual waters which are there in the Karana ocean, where Karanodakasha Vishnu is lying, right? That is spiritual water that actually penetrated into the universe. Okay, and this water actually fell into the different planetary system, and finally it fell on top of Mount Meru. And from Mount Meru, it is divided into 4 branches, and one of the branches known as actually I think I forgot actually Mandagni, I think, which actually comes to the Bharatavarsha, and which is the Ganges which we know. Before that, it falls on the Kailasha and all those things, and finally that is the Ganga, which actually is flowing in Bharatavarsha in India. Okay, so this is how actually the Ganga came. Actually, we can see in little more detail here. First line we saw, he was the lotus feet of the Lord, which was covered by reddish powder, and water of Ganges acquired very beautiful pink color, and she is known as Vishnupadi, Jahnavi, and Bhagirathi. After 1,000 millennium, okay, the water of Ganges descend to Dhruvaloka. So the topmost planet actually below the higher planets is Dhruvaloka or pole star. Okay, so here actually we cannot see the pole star. So you can see that Satyaloka, Tapaloka, Janaloka, Maharloka, right? So between Maharloka and Swargaloka, so Swargaloka is mentioned, that is actually the position of the pole star. So after flowing through the higher realms, actually it comes to pole star. That is what is mentioned here, Dhruvaloka first. Okay, and then after that, below the Dhruvaloka is the Saptarishis planet, the planets of the 7 stages. So there next it falls to the planet of Saptarishis. Okay, after that, very interesting thing actually, from Saptarishi, then it comes to the moon. Okay, so between Saptarishi's planet and the moon, it is told that the water of the Ganges is carried in billions of celestial airplanes. Okay, this is very interesting. Just like we have water tankers, in summer actually we call water tankers, right? So if you want a lot of water for a big huge apartment, we'll have to call hundreds of tankers. So similarly, the Ganges water is actually transported from the Saptarishi planet to the moon in billions of celestial airplanes. It's very fascinating to see, right? And from moon planet, actually it falls to Mount Meru. Okay, on Mount Meru, the Ganges divides into 4 branches, each of which gushes. So we can see in the picture here. So the coastal ocean water is coming to first Dhruvaloka, then after the Saptarishi planet, then moon, and then it falls on the top of the Mount Meru. And then there are 4 channels which are created, you can see. Then it actually falls on Jambudip below. And again in Jambudip also finally it falls to Salt Ocean, which is surrounding the Jambudip. There are 4 branches. So our branch is not Mandagini, it is called Alagananda. Okay, this is the branch which actually comes to our side of the Bharatavarsha. Yes. Okay. So what are the names? I'm just thinking it is there. No. Yeah. So the 4 names actually. So one actually which is flowing towards south is Alagananda, which comes to Bharatavarsha. One which flows to east is called Sita. To the north is called Bhadra, and to the west is called Chakshu. So these are the 4 branches of Ganga. After falling down from the Mount Meru. Okay. Now next topic is about the remaining 8. Now we talked about, of the 9 islands, we talked about Jambudip, right? Now there are 8 more other islands which actually are which are the real heaven on earth actually. So other planets, I mean, Jambudip is not exactly the heaven on earth, but there are other varshas have a lot of sense of facilities for enjoyment, but actually the real heavens we will see the remaining 8 varshas. Okay, so I think as per the schedule we are coming to the end of our scheduled time. So you can let me know whether I should continue or we should take questions. No, you let me know.
You can take questions, Prabhu.
Questions, Prabhu.
Okay. So any questions till now?
This Ganga water, we see Gangotri, no? So yes. Then Gangotri is on the earth actually, if you see.
Yes.
How to understand?
No, Gangotri is after falling into earth, right? So it crosses Himalaya. No, in Himalaya, Lord Shiva is there. It falls on Lord Shiva. Then actually further it descends down actually, and then Gangotri I think is somewhere in Himalayas only, right? So that is the final part actually. So now we talked only till how it reaches the Bharatvarsha. Now we inside Bharatvarsha, it is mentioned that it actually flows to. We know that it flows to Bay of Bengal, right? By after flowing through all the like Himalaya, then different parts on the northeastern side, and finally it flows to Bay of Bengal. So I don't think there is a conflict there, Prabhu.
Oh, okay.
So it is coming from very far away. It's coming from spiritual world. right? It went through so many places, so many millions of yojanas it went, and finally it actually falls to Bharatvarsha. And then from Bharatvarsha, actually, then it comes to our place, no? Like that it is mentioned. So that is clear, right? You want to recap or something? The flow is clear, right? So in this, actually, you can see, right, from the top, outside of the universe, it comes. Then it falls through higher planetary system. Then actually it falls to pole star. Then Saptarishi planet. Then moon planet, which is not mentioned here. And from moon planet, actually, after that it falls to the Mount Meru. Like that, it actually then it is distributed into 4 sites.
Okay, Prabhu.
No more questions?
Yes, Prabhu. I have 2 questions. One is, so the on top of the Meru mountain, you mentioned those 8 cities or capital cities of the demigods, right? The Shiva where resides is the Kailash, is it? That's where Kailash is.
No, Shiva actually has various abodes. Prabhu. See, Shiva's first abode is, so many of the demigods, they have multiple abodes, and then Shiva also has many different expansions, no. So it is not very clear which Shiva actually in each of the place, because we also saw that in Ilavardavarsha also Lord Shiva is the presiding deity. We saw that, right? So we'll see that little bit later also. We'll again see that. So here in this picture you can see. So in the middle you can see the Ilavardavarsha where Lord Shiva is there. So Lord Shiva is actually in various places. We can see his manifestation. So one of the abode actually, maybe it's like a resort for him. Maybe I don't know exactly. That is not mentioned clearly.
That
so
is
Lord
not
Shiva,
Kailash.
No, this is not Kailash. I think Kailash actually is, we saw that, right? Kailash is here. There are multiple Kailash in the sense. So here is the Kailash mountain, right? And below Himalaya, as part of Himalaya it will be. Then there is also the spiritual. Here actually also we can see in the spiritual world there is Kailasha. Sadashiva. Sadashiva's abode actually in the boundary. I mean, in the beginning of spiritual world is also Kailasha.
Prabhuji, this Sumera mountain, I think, Prabhuji, this Lord Shiva's guest house, Prabhuji, like Brahma and guest house. Yeah. Just only for meeting. They'll meet all the demigods meet there and they discuss about.
Yes. Something like that actually. There's Brahma thing is clearly mentioned as a resort. So other demigods, it is not very explained in detail. So yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, one basic doubt. Maybe I got my things wrong. So now when we talk about the Ganges finally coming, we talk only of Bharatvarsha from the point of India and not the whole earth, correct? What happens to the other continents and all that?
So Bharatvarsha actually, see, India is part of Bharatvarsha, Pramataji. So
yes,
it is mentioned. It is mentioned that it falls for example on the Himalayas. That is one part of the earth, right? And from Himalayas actually it falls southwards. To all through India only the Ganga is flowing actually, not to any other country.
Not of the other. Okay, that's all I wanted.
Yeah, that's Mataji. So that is why we see the glories of Bharatvarsha. Why it is actually everybody is praising this particular land of Bharat Khanda in Bharatvarsha. That is actually we'll see.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, one thing to clarify, in the last class you mentioned about that Sankalpa that was chanted before every ritual, right? Like Mero Dakshinat Bhage. Yes. In that, I remember generally I've heard Bharatavarshe and then they say Bharatakande Mero Dakshinat Bhage. So the Bharatakande, how to understand that Bharatakande, Bharatavarsha?
Bharatakanda I think is actually India. In Bharatvarsha.
Okay, that is they are referring to again as India as Bharatakhande.
Yes, Bharatvarsha is the entire the planet.
That we have seen based on new presentation. Yeah. Yes. So then Bharatakhande is this one, India.
Yes.
So then that would change if they are reciting that same yagna in somewhere in America. Then just sorry, just too much details.
Yes. There everywhere else it is lost actually. Nobody is following the cultures. But according to Prabhupada, the Bharat, this Sanatana Dharma was spread throughout the entire Bharatvarsha, and throughout the earth globe. But actually, other places and all, everything is lost. Nobody is following. Now only in India, I think they follow, right? So maybe they may not be reciting that now.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Prabhuji, just one very basic understanding to clarify here. In scripture, wherever there is mentioned Bharatvarsha, So does that means in ancient Bharatvarsha means a whole earth or only the Bharatvarsha, which is current Bharatvarsha?
This is probably so sometimes it is used interchangeably in the scriptures also. So I mean it is difficult to interpret, Prabhu. What exactly? So Prabhupada, no, what actually the Sadabhuta Prabhu or Dhanvir Goswami, after going through their videos, actually they are mentioned that this Bharatvarsha is used to represent the entire Earth planet in some context, or in some other context it is used to refer the Earth actually, which is the South Asia. This part actually, which we are seeing this in this map, whatever we actually this is South Asia part actually. So so it is very little difficult to exactly ascertain in which context which is being spoken. So this is the Sankalpa prayer actually, yesterday we saw, right? So Adya Brahmana Dvitiya Pade Sri Swedavaraha Kalpe Vaivaswada Manvantare Ashta Vimshaditame Kaliyuga Prathama Pade Jambudvipe Bharatavarshe Bharatakande Sakabe Mero Dakshina Parshve Krishna Godavari Madhye, like that. So this actually is further down actually, which is the specific place. Here actually both are mentioned, Bharatavarsha and Bharatakanta. So in this context, we should think that Bharatavarsha is the entire globe. Jambudvip is Jambudvip we saw, right? In Jambudvip there is one part actually, Varsha called like Ilahadvarsha, Bharatavarsha, which is actually the entire Earth globe. And in that actually Bharatakanta is the actually specific part actually which we are living, the South Asia part, like that it is mentioned. Is it okay, Prabhu?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. So if there are no more questions, then I think it's going to take some time to cover everything. I think 1 hour actually is a little short, I think, for this topic. So we'll see. So we reached till here, right? Any other questions anybody has having in today's session or yesterday's session, last session? Okay, so then I think if there are no more questions, we'll end the session.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much.